Number four, we're moving to jobs. Job openings down again in April, Gary.
We are back at the good news is bad news is good news part of the show. Basically, what that means is that every time we get bad data for jobs, the market goes up. And the reason is they think that means the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates and blow up another asset bubble. Every time we get good news on jobs, the market craters because they realize that means higher for longer. The thing that I find funny about all of this is the jobs numbers are faked. They're not real. They're constantly made up and revised. And we've seen all kinds of situations where, the data that's reported, they'll beat estimates by 100,000 jobs in a month. And everyone says, wow, this is terrific. It's a huge beat. But if you look at the prior months, they'll have adjusted the prior months down by, 115,000. And so the net jobs that everybody's focused on the headline number, which is great. But if you look, the net jobs actually are down. In this case, the news that was bad for the economy, but good for the doves, the people who want the Fed to lower rates, was the job openings are now down to 8 million. Now, on an absolute basis, that 8 million number is actually a really good number. And it's more than the number of people looking for jobs. There's still more than one job for every one person looking for work. But, people correctly pointed out that early 2022, job openings were a little over 12 million. And now they're down to 8 million. And people are saying, hey, wait, that's actually a pretty big decline. And they're correct. Now, later in the week, we got an employment report that showed an enormous 272,000 increase in jobs. And that got people really worried. The market was down because they figured that meant higher for longer. But, I'm just going to point out that as usual, 100% of that was part-time work. Most of it is in government and healthcare. And it's not that I'm against healthcare work. I'm just going to point out that that's largely funded by government. And then we have the weird situation where full-time employment continues to fall and the unemployment rate ticked up to 4%. So, think about it for a minute. We've got, I think the market was looking for 180,000 jobs. Instead of 180, we got 272,000 jobs with a decline in full-time employment and an unemployment rate going up over 4%. These are not people getting good full-time jobs. These are the same people working more jobs to make ends meet. And this is where we go back to, the Kobayashi letter, where they're saying, hey, wait a minute, the average number is good, but we've got problems all over the place.
As always, you had both sides of the coin. Some people looking at, hey, reduction in job openings leading to lower interest rates, and then vice versa. Is the craziest part the fact that the data that they're making these claims off of is inaccurate? And then follow up on that is, should I even ask whether or not we are going to see a rate increase one way or the other before the election?
You should always ask that question. Why would anyone go a week without contemplating what the Federal Reserve is going to do?
Yeah,
As you
that's
know,
right.
it's the only thing that matters, right?
That's right.
We could change the show to what's the Fed going to do and just do that every week. And it's,
Or did the Fed raise rates, yes or no? And that's the entire show and call it a
yeah,
day.
you know what? We could run our economic policy with a magic 8 ball.
Yeah, there you go.
That's just so we're clear on this. And so, YouTube doesn't get angry at us. We are talking about the children's toy, not any kind of drug paraphernalia. Anyway, back to the, adult part of the show. Yeah, the thing that's really weird about it, Rob, is the market trades with a lot of volatility around these numbers. People react to them and billions of dollars of market cap is created and destroyed based on this. And the thing that's weird about it is the numbers aren't real. I mean, a couple of months ago, we saw the Philadelphia Fed somehow miscounted 800,000 jobs. Right. So we have a month where everyone's saying, wait a minute, this 272,000 job increase, it beat expectations by 90,000 jobs. But we have another month where, 800,000 jobs just disappear because they're being miscounted. It basically, I'm pretty sure in the back room, there's a squirrel that just makes up random numbers. The market trades off of that and then they adjust it later. Beyond that, last Thursday, I was fortunate enough to get an invite from Michael Guyette of the Lead Lag Report and the ETF think tank. And those guys they hosted me for their weekly Get Think Tanked podcast. And, they, of course, asked about what I thought the Fed was going to do. And, during this program, I reiterated my belief. I don't think the Fed's going to change the Fed funds rate before the election. They're definitely not going to do it later this month. I think if you get out to like September or November, doing this right around an election is going to lead to charges of political meddling that the Fed, whether the Fed has a political bias or not, they prefer to maintain the appearance that they don't. Um, and so, basically, if the Fed changes the Fed funds rate, I wouldn't expect it to happen before December. If it happens, if I'm wrong about this, it's because the economy has taken such a horrible nosedive that not even excess trillions of dollars of congressional overspending is enough to mask it. And if that's the case, the economy's in free fall. And if the Fed does something in an emergency, I don't know that that's going to be good for stock prices. So, for the people who are thinking the Fed's about to lower rates, I would not count on it.